1.2 lakh rupees ex-showroom for a 125cc motorcycle. Does that even make any kind of sense? Well, it is a KTM after all, the brand new 125 Duke. And to make sense of it, here are 5 things you need to know about this new baby Duke. One, it looks identical to the 200. Now both the 200 and the 125 are available in 3 very similar color options: black, orange and this white that you see here. Both bikes also have their frames painted black and the wheels painted orange, which is a very lovely KTM touch. The only difference between the 200 and the 125 are the graphics on the tank, and if I had to comment on that, I think the graphics on the 125 look a little more youthful. But outside of that, everything is identical to the 200. Headlight, tail light and even that small yet highly informative instrument cluster, it all stays the same. Hop on the saddle and it's all a very familiar experience. Now I have the first generation 390 Duke and I feel right at home on this 125. So far things are looking good. 2. It carries over the same underpinnings from the 200 as well. Now it's really hard to believe that this is actually a 125cc motorcycle. Now let me put it this way. If an average 125cc motorcycle is like a vada pav, this is like a gourmet burger, and it's one hell of a gourmet burger. Sure, that frame is not from the current gen 125 Duke. There's no bolt-on subframe, but this frame has been taken from the 200 Duke and the last gen 390, and that is very capable. And it's running the most advanced suspension that we have seen on any 125cc bike in the Indian market today. Those fat front forks, 43mm upside down units and a MONOSHOCK have actually been designed for WP, and no, they're not from the new gen 390, but they're the same ones that you got on the previous 390 and the current 200 Duke. And even those tires, these are MRF Revz-C radials, 110 at the front, 150 at the back, again from the 200 Duke. And when you put all that together, you get a bike that handles really well. Now out here on the Bajaj test track, the bike felt very nimble. Now that chassis has always been very capable, but on the 125, because you have a little less power, you can actually exploit that chassis to its maximum. You can open the throttle with reckless abandon through the corners and the bike just copes without breaking a sweat. 3. It's the only 125cc motorcycle in the country that gets ABS. And the brakes have been borrowed from the current gen 200 Duke as well. A single 300mm rotor at the front and a single 230mm rotor at the back with calipers from Bi-Brake. Now the brake feel is kind of similar to what you get on the KTM 200 Duke, but more so actually on the previous generation 390. Now unlike the new 390, this doesn't get that new master cylinder, the larger disc and the sim dot pads, so feel is not that great. There is decent bite, but there's a certain lack of progression when you go hard on the lever. But thankfully ABS intervention isn't that intrusive. But that was on this nice smooth racetrack surface. Out in the real world on a loose surface, well, we are not too sure. But it's only a single channel ABS, so which means if you go hard on the rear brake, four, the only real difference here is that engine. Now this engine isn't entirely new. It's essentially from the last generation European 125 Duke. So there's no ride-by-wire throttle here like the current gen 125. And there's a good reason why this engine looks identical to the 200s. That's because the 200 is essentially a bored out version of this 125cc mill. So 14.5 horsepower might not seem like all that much, but it's actually quite similar to a lot of bikes in the 150cc category. Of course, the torque isn't all that much at just 12 Newton meters, but that should be expected given how small this motor actually is. So, how does it perform? Well, of course, you can't expect some high-end performance from this small an engine, but let me just put this out there. It's actually a pretty fun little motor. It does wake up a little bit post 7000 RPM and then it pulls quite strong up to its red line of a little over 10,000 RPM. That said, the gearing is a bit on the taller side. So while it does pull fairly well in first to fifth gears, in sixth gear the pull kinda dies out. So on the back straight in Chakan, we were seeing about 107 kph in fifth, but after going into sixth, you just end up losing steam there. But of course, the upshot of having lower performance is refinement. This is the smoothest motor that we have experienced on any KTM in India till date. There are absolutely no vibrations, even up to its red line, and plenty of times I found myself on the limiter before I even realized it. And the second upshot, of course, is high efficiency. Now at this point, we don't have numbers, but KTM assures us that this is actually more efficient by about 15% compared to the 200 Duke.
And then there's the sound. Sounds almost like a two-stroke, right?
And 5. It's aimed at those who want a KTM but feel that a 200 might be a little too much. Now, as an enthusiast, it might seem a little silly to say that 25 horsepower is too much. But KTM assures us that there are people today who feel that a 200 Duke is a little bit too much motorcycle for them. So in that case, for them, this bike makes perfect sense because it gets them the perfect KTM experience with an engine that's a lot easier to live with. And then it comes to the question of price. Now, this is not a cheap motorcycle by any means, but think about it. The 200 Duke with 5 years of insurance and with ABS costs 2 lakh rupees on road in most cities in India. So that entry point for KTM has moved quite a bit ahead until, of course, they got this bike into the picture. And surprisingly, at rupees 1.18 lakhs ex-showroom, it's priced exactly the same as the 200 Duke was when it was first launched back in 2012. So that brings us to the final question: is it good value? For its performance, maybe not. But for an entry-level KTM, we think so.